Local officials are planning for a boom in the senior population, and the Department of Public Works continues to monitor the Hyannis water system. We have details on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Friday, June 10th, 2016. I'm Sarah Mantle. The Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority is planning for an increase in the Cape's senior population. CCRTA Administrator Tom Kerr says as a staff, they're working on several new initiatives to meet the needs of the Cape's elder population.
Median age on Cape Cod is over 50. I mean, that's pretty significant, where it's 39 in other parts of the Commonwealth. And we've all heard that for a long time. And it was that Cape Cod Times editorial that said, you know, we got to start planning more aggressively. I'm proud of what we're doing, but if you're going to have more folks moving here and people aging here, you know, some folks would like to come into Hyannis to have lunch and don't want to drive their car if they have a martini or something, you know. So things like that, and also try to get cars off the road. That's why we're working with the trains and all the other stuff, Uber and Zip cars, trying to reduce the traffic on the Cape, because the roads were never built to accommodate the volumes they have to deal with, as you all know, but in the traffic sometimes. So the numbers are overwhelming. We're like the highest per capita aging region in anywhere on the eastern part of the United States, except for 9 or 10 counties in Florida. So that's pretty eye-opening, and we take that pretty seriously.
Harris says initiatives will include public outreach, an increase in dial-a-ride transportation, and collaboration with local senior centers. The Department of Public Works is continuing to work with the EPA to monitor the Hyannis water system. For an update, Channel 18's Sarah Colvin talks with DPW Director Dan Santos.
Here to talk about the Hyannis water system. Actually, we were looking on Facebook. You got a shout out from the real Aaron Brockovich. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's neat.
Doesn't come around every day, of course, dealing with these water issues. And of course, this really does come down to those emerging contaminants and the PFAS and the perfluorinated compounds that we've been finding. So you were here to talk a little bit about the update on what's going on with the Hyannis water system.
And you know, I think what's important with these issues are that we didn't create this. We're dealing with it. It's kind of brought to our doorstep, and we need to address it. And we're doing everything we can to make sure that the things that get identified by the environmental regulators, the EPA and the DEP, that it's not in our water, and that our water is safe and people can rely on it. So with this latest issue of these emerging perfluorinated compounds, which we've talked about from the Fire Training Academy in our water system, we've done a lot of things in the last couple of weeks, and we really just yesterday and through this show and other means want to update folks that the health advisory is still in effect, and that's because there are some residual levels of these chemicals in the water system. I expect that from what we've done over the last few weeks, that with some sampling we did this week, which we'll get those results next week, will show that those levels are below the standard, and that we can lift this advisory and people can go back to using the water normal. Now, really those that are being recommended that they not drink the water or use it for cooking food or for infant formula is pregnant women, nursing mothers, and infants. For everyone else, there's really no risk to utilizing the water as they have, because when they put these health advisories out, they're for a lifetime of use of this water. So having it or being exposed to it for a short period of time, you know, in the order of days, weeks, months, even some years, is really not a problem. But it's like anything else that, you know, there are warning labels on things. You know, you shouldn't stay out in the sun too long. You shouldn't, you know, you shouldn't have too much salt or alcohol. It's all these kind of things that over a lifetime of doing those things, they add up to some increased risk of disease. And this is very much like that.
Indeed. So again, some of the measures that we've been taking, and again, out of an abundance of caution, as we've said before, Mary Denwell 3 is offline, and we are sharing some water with Yarmouth, correct?
Well, we're buying water from Yarmouth, and they don't have these contaminants in their water system, so we're bringing as much of that into our system as we can, and that will reduce the amount of contaminants in our own system. We have initiated discussions, and in fact, the CALM Water District voted on Wednesday night at a meeting I was at to pursue an interconnection with Barnstable, the Hyannis water system, and we're going to try to get that up and running as soon as possible. Now, those interconnections help both parties in the future. Right now, Yarmouth or CALM doesn't need our water, but they could have an issue like this hit their water system. So to have these interconnections between systems makes an awful lot of sense. So
Absolutely.
This is a good reason to move in that direction. We've flushed our system out because water systems sometimes have areas where there's not a lot of flow or what are called dead ends. And so the water can sit there longer than it might otherwise in other places. So we flush those out to make sure if there was any residual contaminants that gets taken out of the system. Bringing the carbon system on, Mary Dunn 3, as you mentioned. We have 2 other carbon systems online, and we'll also be looking at installing a carbon treatment system at our Mar well field as well. So our entire system will be covered to address these issues.
Right, and the most recent round of testing did detect some levels of the contaminants in the Mar well field as well, and so that has that been taken offline right now, or has that just
that's
been
minimized to as low as we can have it, and then blending the clean water from Yarmouth. That those levels are below the standard.
Great, and again, the results that we just got were taken just after, just before all of the treatment happened. So
right.
we sampled again and expecting those results to show a different.
Right, exactly. That was
too.
before we brought in the Yarmouth water, and we had shut off the well number 3, but we took the samples the day after. And this is a network of 100 miles of water line and storage tanks. So, what was being put into the system before we turned the well off is really what we sampled for and found out. But since that's been off now 3 weeks or so, I don't anticipate that we're gonna find an issue of levels that are elevated above the health advisory when we get those results next week. So in the meantime, it's just a caution out there. Really, as I mentioned, that one sensitive population should not drink the water. Everyone else, it's fine for drinking, bathing, cooking, and however you use the water. But for those that are concerned, and we understand that this is concerning, it's your drinking water, that we are making bottled water available at the water system office over on 47 Yarmouth Road. And we're open there from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And we'll continue to provide that water to those that want it, that live in the affected area, which is, by the way, Hyannis,
Yes.
Hyannisport and West Hyannisport, until we lift the advisory.
Indeed, and I think that's an important thing to note as well. This is specifically the Hyannis water system, so COMM, West Barnstable, who actually doesn't have their own water system,
Right.
it's all wells out
Right.
there in West Barnstable, Cotuit, all Barnstable Village, just not affected by this. It's specific to the Hyannis water system.
Right, and if people don't know where their water comes from, they can let us know. They can call us, call Public Works, call me, and we'll let them know whether they're on our system or not. And we've gotten those calls. Some people really don't know. And there are some areas, and some streets, in fact, that one side of the street is served by CALM and one side is by Hyannis Water. So
Absolutely. So
it's not always easy to know.
Good to know. But again, so when are we anticipating the results of the most recent round of testing will be available, will be back for us?
Probably be late next week. They say it's 7 to 10 days, and last time it took a little longer. The other issue is, this is an issue being faced throughout the country. So the labs are now overwhelmed with these sampling events and having to get this work out. They're working overtime, but this is a priority, and we'll get them as soon as we can.
We'll be sure to tune in to our hour-long news program, Barnstable This Morning, weekdays at 8 a.m. On Monday's show, we will chat with Town Manager Tom Lynch. We'll talk with Energy Coordinator Richard Elrick. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.